Hello, my name is Nelson Delgado. I'm an energy psychologist in Mississauga, Ontario, and this is to help us understand that if you're feeling lost, um, you might be going through a specific shadow challenge in your life that has to do with dislocation. Now, if you ever felt like your life has lost its rhythm, like you're running on empty, doing all these things, but something just isn't clicking, you might be stuck in this shadow of dislocation. This is also the second archetypal pattern of change found in the Taurus constellation. And it has something to do with your creativity area, your sacral area. And the good news is that you're not broken. You're just being invited back into the flow. But before I get into the details of this, oftentimes stories are the best way to understand what's going on. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you a story that is related to this challenge. This is a parable in regards to the silent compass. In a quiet valley where rivers sang to the stars, lived a young weaver named Sonia. Her tapestries were once vibrant and intricate, capturing the movements of seasons and the whispers of wind. But one day, Sonia woke with a silence inside, a stillness that wasn't peaceful but void. Her loom no longer called to her. The threads tangled. She felt dislocated. Villagers noticed the change. Quote, "Go to the oracle of the north wind," said an elder. "She knows the maps of purpose." With little but a walking staff and a frayed hope, Sonia climbed cold ridges and crossed forests that pulsed with unseen eyes. At last she reached the oracle, a blind woman who tended a garden of weeds and wildflowers. "I've lost my path," said Sonia. "I don't know what I'm here to weave." The oracle laughed gently. "You seek direction the way a stone seeks to fly. Then how will I find it?" The oracle handed her a smooth obsidian compass with no markings. She said, this shows no destination, only presence. When you are still, it sings. But when you force it to guide you, it falls silent. Sonia didn't understand. Still, she carried it. Days passed. She tried to read signs in clouds, leaves, dreams, but the compass remained silent. Frustrated, she shouted at it during a thunderstorm. Quote, "Tell me what to do." Silence. Soaked and exhausted, she finally gave up. Sitting by a stream, she let herself cry, not the angry tears of trying, but the soft surrender of being. And in that stillness, the compass hummed, soft, melodic, warm. A feeling bloomed in her chest, not a voice or a vision, but a knowing. She returned to her village, but not to resume weaving. Instead, she wandered with her loom to new places, creating with no agenda. Her tapestries now held the silence of rain and the song of roots. People wept when they saw them, not for sadness, but recognition. Sonia never again sought the map. She had become the compass. The moral of this story is that when we surrender our need to control and understand life through force, the quiet voice of truth begins to rise. The feminine principle doesn't direct us like a map. It invites us to feel our way forward through presence and trust. We are never truly lost. We are only unfamiliar with the silence where our inner compass begins to sing. So the shadow of dislocation is the illusion of being spiritually and energetically lost, of feeling out of sync with the life's greater rhythm. It creates a sense of fragmentation where we perceive ourselves as separate from our environment, from others, and the divine intelligence that choreographs all things. This perceived separation is rooted in spiritual amnesia, a veil placed over our awareness to help us function in the density of form. The fear is that we are disconnected from purpose, timing, or belonging, when in truth we are always being held within the gravity of a greater whole. The shadow tempts us to distrust life or distrust life's current, pulling us into restless overactivity. It is not merely a lack of direction, but a resistance to the stillness that precedes inspired action. The more we try to force alignment through mental agendas, the more dislocated we can become. The repressive nature would be to feel lost, and this state results from a lack of spiritual or intuitive practice. Without a connection to a higher intelligence, the individual feels aimless, out of place, and unsure of the role in greater tapestry, or in life's greater tapestry. They may drift, lacking direction, and unconsciously absorb the disorientation of the collective field. Here are some of the repressive statements from that lost state or feeling lost. It is, I don't have a clear understanding of what to do, and so I'm lost. The next one would be, I have no thought or understanding. I need direction from others. The next one is, I have to seek guidance externally. They they know the best direction for me. Next one is, I'm at a loss for words. I have to give an impression with a generic response. The next one is, I'll just choose the easiest task with the least risk to fail. And the last one would be, I have to use traditional manifestation methods to survive with low expectations. Do this long enough, and oftentimes things start going, against, you start finding resistance and you're not getting anywhere. So one can start shifting into a reactive nature, which would be to become regimented. And this expression imposes a rigid order onto life to mask the inner chaos. Rooted in anger and distrust, it seeks safety in dogma, whether religious, scientific, or ideological. But this false structure blocks the organic intelligence of synchronicity and suppresses the soul's natural rhythm. Statements from this reactivity, there's about 6 of them here, is, I have to act on impulse as as the best course of action. And the next one would be, knowledge is power. The more I know, the easier it is to manipulate the variables to my favor. After that, the next one is, others have to hear what I say, even if they don't like it or are not ready for it. After that, there is, I have to speak my mind when there's a gap in the dialogue. That way, I will be recognized or receive recognition. The fifth one is, it has to be done my way. It is best, and others need to fall in line with my protocols. And the last one would be, I must have others believe this is the, or I must have others believe this is the only way things work out for the better. Now, what ends up happening is we start experiencing a dilemma, and this is called the dilemma of agendas. In this archetypal pattern of change, this specific change challenge confronts the subtle agendas behind our emotions and actions, what we seek to avoid, control, or manifest when we become overly masculine in our energy. Always doing, striving, fixing. We disconnect from the feminine essence of receptivity. Without first being still, we lose access to the deeper wisdom that guides purposeful action. And when we welcome even difficult emotions like fear and guilt or grief without judgment or reaction, we open the space for true orientation to rise. So here are some self-study questions that you can ask yourself. In what areas of my life do I feel energetically or spiritually dislocated? How do I distract myself from simply being rather than doing or achieving? Third one is, when I have felt completely in flow or guided by synchronicity. So when have you felt that way? And take note as to different moments in your life and try and remember as far back as you can. And the last one is, can I sit with discomfort without trying to fix it and trust what is emerging within me? Now, if this is what you like to go into more depth with, because this specific challenge in your human design chart that's activated, or in your gene key chart is activated, then I have resources that you can tap into, and you can click the link below for my website, and therefore you can gain access to this through specific um, uh, packages where you can do one-to-one, or you can do it on a do-it-yourself and request assistance as you go along sort of way. And that way, these resources that I have will help you navigate this challenge toward discovering the gift within the process. So, without further ado, I'm going to explain what that gift is. And so that when if this is something important to you and you want to learn how to navigate it with some guidance, you can reach out to me. Now, when we do the work intentionally and we're committed to it, and we go through a 90-day challenge that has easy goals to begin with, and reflective periods where you can find out what did and didn't work for you, and so on and so forth. Eventually, you'll start realizing with each little win that you get with the process that I help people go through, you'll find that this gift starts emerging from the process, and then you start trusting it more. And that gift is orientation. It is the return to trust and the surrender into divine choreography. It expresses itself in two ways. Sometimes awareness precedes new action, and other times new action catalyzes expanded awareness. This gift allows us to recognize and follow synchronicities, which act like trail markers through the mystery. When we are grounded in presence and open to receiving, the universe gently steers us back into alignment. The field of orientation creates a subtle gravitational pull, drawing others towards unity and harmonious collaboration. It is not about controlling the flow, but attuning to it. Once you go through the process through my resources and through guided assistance, there you'll be able to more easily embody self-empowerment statements. And that way you actually have more control over how you respond to opportunities that come to you as opposed to you trying to create them all on your own. Furthermore, as you practice the gift, as you transmute the shadow patterns, you're going to find this thing called a siddhi, or an ascended state of consciousness, sort of like a flavor of grace. And this grace might be a feeling of unity. Um, and unity is the true nature of reality, where the illusion of separation dissolves into the sacred embrace of oneness. This is the domain of divine logic, where paradox lives effortlessly. Sort of like 1 + 1 = 3, meaning masculine and feminine come together to create a new, a new entity in its merger. Unity cannot be explained, only experienced through intuition and surrender. It is the field beneath all form, the source from which all manifestations arise and to which all return. In this state, every perceived mistake becomes a perfect stepping stone of evolution. Unity holds space for all outcomes, unfolding them in or enfolding them into an ever unfolding harmony. It is the remembrance that we are never apart. We are the field itself, momentarily dancing in form. If you appreciated this video and getting the basics in terms of understanding of how the shadow of the second archetypal pattern of change affects us all, fantastic. I really am glad that and I'm grateful for the opportunity to share this wisdom and this information with you. However, furthermore, in the future, I have meetup groups on divination systems to help you, and that provides also free resources there. You can join that meetup group called Divination Systems. And you can also check my website for new blog posts and check the following other archetypal patterns of change so you gain more insight. Again, reach out, and if there's something specific that you want to learn more in depth about and gain access to tremendous resources on specific numbers of the 64 archetypal patterns of change, the shadow work, and how to do it really effectively, reach out and I'll provide access to those through my online store for the mass archive options. Thanks again, and have a blessed day, and I look forward to your interaction in the not too distant future. If you like this video, you can like it and put a thumbs up down. It's up to you if you'd like to subscribe. I would rather have you explore more and more of the content I have to offer on this related series of the 64 archetypal patterns of change. And if you increasingly feel blessed by the information provided, please don't hesitate to subscribe and share with your friends. Take care. Good life to you. God bless.